this? Incredible! This is
The Grove Podcast.
Hello, my name is Tabs and welcome to episode 168 of The Grove Podcast. Now, hope you're all doing very well and have rested up over the international break and enjoying the final bit of calm before what will be one hell of a storm as we enter the final throes of the season, the run-in, winning season, hopefully, with 3 big trophies on the line, a chance for this team to do something special, a chance to make history. It's going to be 8 weeks of sheer angst, despair, tension, ups and downs, joy and despair. It's going to be horrible, isn't it? But hopefully, and ultimately, a whole lot of fun. So look, in today's show, we're going to take a quick look back at the Arsenal boys and what they've been up to in the international break, a look ahead at the run-in, and then which is starting with Southampton away in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. And joining me today to tell us exactly how much fun we're all going to have is Ian, aka Ask Cannon Picks. Ian, how are you? You fit and ready to go? And have you had your massages? And is there going to be a happy finish?
I really wish you wouldn't use that phrase, a happy finish, Tabs.
Have I cracked that one? Have I cracked that one off before?
You and don't use cracked off either as an expression. This podcast has started off in a terrible vein. I'm good, Tabs. Thank you very much. It's great to be here. Very excited about today's guest. So yeah, I'm raring to go. A bit nervous about the end of the season, but yeah, look, we're good. We're going to do this.
Oh, good. And you, as you've alluded to, and look, if you're watching on the video, then obviously you've seen it, but we are joined by a very, very special guest today. It is the editor of Arsenal's longest running, best and most iconic fanzine, the Gooner, Layth Yousif. Layth, how are you? How are you doing?
How you doing, Joe? Boys, you all right? Yeah, it's been a roller coaster as ever, hasn't it, really? So, yeah, all good. But like you say, it's going to be, it's going to be an agonising 8 weeks to come, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Well, look, we've got to try and enjoy it. You know, it's a privileged position to be in, and I think there is a lot said to be mid-table mediocrity, but no, it's less stressful. But no, look, this are the times. It's as they say, pressure is a privilege, and we're lucky to be where we are, and fingers crossed it goes away. So look, anyway, from what I've seen on the socials, you far from being resting over the international break. You've been working on the England internationals, going to Lords to interview cricketers. Working on the women's games against Chelsea and Tottenham, and then even on your day off, you went to Stamford Bridge last night to watch the women turn over Chelsea. Well, they lost, but turn over in the Champions League quarterfinals. So when do you get a break?
Oh, mate, no, yeah. If you ever hear me moaning about what I do, then just you give permission to give me a bit of a kick, because I absolutely love it. We all love it, and it's something I've been. I don't know the story. I've been in journalism for 15 years now, and I always wanted to be a journalist. Did loads of work experience as a kid, never managed to break into it. And all those years when I worked in the city and did all right, and worked in Australia and stuff, went travelling, but always wanted to be a journalist every single day of my life. And after one redundancy in my sort of mid to late 30s, I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to give it my best shot, and signed up to do journalism school after getting accepted. And the youngsters there, I was the oldest by far, and they thought I was the cleaner on the first day. So, but I absolutely love it. Managed to get onto local papers and regional, and I've done national as well, places like Football London as well. So, I've done my time, and I absolutely love it. Got a really good position with the Morning Star at the moment, covering Arsenal basically in England. So, I absolutely love it. So, yeah, there's plenty of time to sleep when you're gone, basically. So it has been a busy couple of weeks, really. After I think it was almost, well, no, good's the right word, but after the League Cup final, it was good. I think it was good for the squad. It was certainly good for a lot of fans just to switch off from Mikel Arteta's team at the moment, because it was so absolutely gutting. That was the 7th League Cup final I've been to with Arsenal as a fan and a journalist, and it was just so gutting. So we're not going to go over that now. But yeah, I've covered 2 England games, covered 3 Arsenal women, the cricket, like you say. So yeah, and was a fan at Stamford Bridge last night, watching the mighty Arsenal women get to the semi-finals of the Champions League. So yeah, it's been all good. But I've got to mention, obviously, I've watched England for cut long story short. My dad was Arabic and my mum is Irish, so I'm a bit of a mix, really. Born and bred London, obviously massive Arsenal fan from birth. And I was saying to someone the other day, I've probably been to 2,500 games. Majority of that was Arsenal, and I've never seen a set of fans boo one of their own players for scoring a goal. You know, and I've been watching England for 40 years from a kid in the 80s. I don't know what mum and dad were thinking, letting me go to Wembley in the mid 80s, mid to late 80s, because it was just a den of thieves and hooligans, basically. So I've watched them a long time, and I know what England fans are about, for good and bad, basically. And it was absolutely disgraceful. I was fuming. Like, you can read my match reports and coverage and all the rest of it. I'm saying, you know, obviously, from their point of view, they're really annoyed that Ben White's walked out in Qatar. Okay, so I put him in match for, you know, in an age of where you're prioritising mental health, he wasn't happy with Steve Holland's attitude towards him. He stuck away for 6 weeks. Why should he stay? So that's probably the more nuanced view. A lot of the England fans just thought he was a traitor, basically. So to go back to the Uruguay game last Friday, when he's warming, get a chance to watch, as Simon Rose, one of our writers, said, you know, don't get a chance to watch Hollywood, and then you're going to make your views known at a big game like Wembley, a big stadium like Wembley. Yeah, you boo him when he warms up. When he's named, boo him and make a point of going, we didn't like you walking out of the camp 4 years ago, basically, and then leave it at that, and then get behind your team. But they booed him when they announced his name. They booed him when he did the warm up. They booed him when he scored. And then, yeah, and then it booed him afterwards as well. So that's Friday. So you go, okay, well, I obviously covered the game on Tuesday against Japan as well. Incidentally, their fans were magnificent. They even tied it up after themselves.
Oh, yeah, they got a reputation for that, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I spent a month in Japan in the 2002 World Cup, and I went everywhere, and it was brilliant. I love the country, love the culture, love the people. Fantastic. So fair play. They were behind their team from start to finish. And you know, obviously, White does the warm up again, they boo his name. Okay, boo his name when they really actually before kick off. You're like, really? Let it go, lads. Seriously, how angry do you have to be? And yeah, so I tweeted it, going, you know, what would you do if on July the 19th at the MetLife Stadium, England somehow got to the final? I know it's a long stretch. What would you do? Would you boo him if he scored then? And people like from Leeds and all that, they were just saying the C word, but there was no articulate or intelligent or eloquent explanation why they were booing him. They were just basically slagging him off. So I did another tweet going, so obviously with Declan Rice and Saka, they're getting stick for pulling out because they're injured. And if you're a Man United player under Fergie, they did that for 20 years. Every single how many friendlies did they play for Wales? They're getting stick for pulling out the England squad because they're genuinely so okay. Well, you're booing him for that. Ben White stands up and wants to play, and he gets booed. So it's like, what can Arsenal players do? You get booed for playing, you get booed not for playing. So just laughable. Honestly, it's absolutely shocking. So I was really annoyed with the fans who were booing. I have to say, it wasn't everyone, but. There was a lot booing for behind the goal, and behind the goal is where the main support is. And people are sort of tweeting. I know the scores. I've followed England all around the world. It's been my 10th tournament this summer. Hopefully, I'm going to cover it. And I know what they're about, good and bad, like I say. So there's a lot of fans who travel the world to spend their money. Yeah, of course you can boo. You do what you want, but equally, how can you boo your own player scoring a goal? It's just unbelievable. So. I'm just really disillusioned with certain fans, basically, certain elements.
Well, is it the fans or is it certain people in your business? Because I think a lot of it's stoked up by certain hacks, certain people in the press who've got agendas, who maybe I don't know. And they said, look, I've said before, I said, boo him because you don't like his tattoos. Boo him because of his tan. Boo him because he's got a face you want to punch. Because that's football, and that's football fandom. You know, whatever. It's like us and Bruno Fernandes or whatever. Ricky Ponting in cricket. There's just, you know, if he gets under your skin from his personality, you don't like him because of the Dubai stuff, whatever. But just because someone's fed you a line to rile you up, and these fans, they don't know the story. As you said, there could be nuance in there. He could have very good reason to leave. And so just to boo him because you've been riled up by some jingoistic hack, that's the bit that pisses me off about that. And there's sort of like, you know, like in any industry, you have good and bad and people who are doing things for clicks and they're doing it for that engagement and so people fall for it because, well, you know, they don't know any better. And you know what? Path of least resistance is easy. I've been told to boo him because he doesn't want to play for his country, and no, he doesn't want to play for bloody Steve Holland. Not he doesn't want to play for his country, and I just find it utterly ridiculous. And what do you make of all the stuff about? As I said, there was all the fuss about the Arsenal players withdrawing. What they don't realise is clubs cannot pull players from international duty. They have to go at the blessing of the international teams. Arteta can't go in there and say, right, you're not playing. The international team sends them home. But still, when Arsenal do it, it becomes an issue. You know, and it just and the other thing is, at this stage of the season, it is far better for these players to be resting and recovering than playing meaningless friendlies. They're guaranteed to play. Rice does not need to play. What's Tuchel going to learn about Rice? What's he going to learn about Saka? So that also was also, and I was doing my best on the socials to educate people, for want of a better word. And funnily enough, no one came back and said, "Oh, thanks for letting me know that. I got that completely wrong." And now I'm educated. You know, but like I was even told to. You know, I'm wrong and look it up. And I said, I have, and I'm not, or I did, and I did, etc., etc. But it's, I don't, Ian, what do you make of all? You know, it's not related to Ireland and stuff, but just the general nonsense about the booze and just basically when Arsenal do something, it's an issue.
Yeah, it's definitely an Arsenal thing, and like I can look at it from a distance because I'm not English. I do my mother and father are both English, so I genuinely cheer on the England team, and I love it. I'm very proud when Arsenal players play for England. But I think, and it is very frustrating, and as you said, when you have the journalists weighing in, it becomes really, really frustrating. But if you break it down, I guarantee you, the people who are doing the booing are the same people who are, you know, talking nonsense on the apps. Like, they're probably kids who just know no different. As you said, have been fed a line by these idiots who have big accounts and influential platforms, shall we say. But it seems to be, now we're very obviously Arsenal centric, so like we're in this Arsenal bubble, especially now because the whole world wants us to fail because we're doing so well. So but it does really feel an Arsenal thing rather than a Ben White thing sometimes. And you know, like I was listening to another pod earlier on, and they made a very good point that Saka for a long time was being you know, he was being called a diver by opposition fans and people in the media. And then when he got fouled in the last World Cup, he got fouled against France in the build up to a goal. And all these same people who were calling him a diver were kind of saying, "Oh, how come he's not giving a foul?" So you have to understand, and I know we do, that you're dealing sometimes with just absolute idiots, and they're not worth the angst and the anger that we feel. But it is very hard to ignore it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you know, you sort of look at the makeup of the fans, and they actually did a massive flag or tifo, or even called behind the goal before the game, and it was just every provincial town in England. Nothing was wrong with that, you know, but they're not people who are Arsenal fans, basically, as far as I can see. Then they never have been really. Arsenal fans are very, very small minority of England fans who certainly travel abroad to the tournaments and stuff. So you're always fighting your corner. Whether I've gone as a fan or a journalist, if you say Arsenal to you sort of, you know, sample handful of people in the pub or train or even metro after a game, wherever you are, the general reaction is going to be one of negativity, whether, you know, depending on how much they've drunk as well, basically. But you can fight corner yourself and you can give it back and everything. And most people are pretty reasonable at the end, but at the same time, there's not much love for Arsenal, and it never has been. It's that old George Graham line, isn't it? About people always hate us. It's part of our history, basically. So we should always use that as, it's almost like a backhanded compliment, really. Because even the other day when you know, we lost 1-0 to Japan, I saw one headline, and this isn't a criticism of any journals, any website, anything like that, but they linked Ben White to a player ratings. Okay, well, was right. It's like an Arsenal man disappoints, something like that, because they know Arsenal brings in the clicks. There's not many clubs, apart from Man United, and even then they're fading because they haven't done much recently. There's not many clicks in the whole of this country that can bring, or many teams can bring in more clicks than Arsenal and bring in more coverage. I actually did a tweet about an hour ago, like just flicking on Sky Sports. I've been mad busy again all day. Flicked it on just for 10 minutes to have a look. The first thing is, was like, after Kepa's mistake in the League Cup final, can Arsenal win it? And you're like, really, lads? Is that all you've got? Seriously? It's 2 weeks ago. It's FA Cup quarter-final weekend. It's not even the Premier League. It's like, honestly, it's just embarrassing, and it's laughable if that's the only coverage you got. But equally, we know it is, because that's the nature of the game, and that's what we're about, basically. And as you said, they alluded to the start of the programme, it's like we've gone through a lot of first world problems, and there's no entitlement to win anything. But if you'd have said to me 22 years ago, I'd still be waiting for Arsenal to win the league again, I just wouldn't have believed you. So we've gone through all that, and they know that they've stopped laughing at us, because when they stop laughing at us, they start having a go at us again. I'd rather beat them hating us than patting us on the head, going, "Oh, you played pretty football," and then head buggers off, and Fabregas buggers off, and all of them, Song, all the rest of them. When Wenger invested all that time into him, we're not going to talk about Wenger, good or bad at the moment, but we've gone through so much, and this is our time. I've said it in the fanzine, I've said it in my columns, in a paper. I've said it to anyone who listens, whether I'm standing and flogging the Gooner in the rain or in the press box. This is our time, because if we don't do it now, we'll never do it. And I'm convinced we're going to win the league. Said to me at the start of the season, what do you want? I'd the league all day long. Obviously, it's nice to win. It would have been nice to win. But there's a reason why no one's done it in 120 or since the League Cup started or whatever, the FA Cup. No, it's because it's too hard. It's ridiculous. No one's going to win 4 trophies in England. Not with the way. In Germany, when you have a midweek game, they call it English week. Because it's so rare, because it's so grueling. We have English week every bloody week, don't we? Because it's 3 games a week, basically. So we're never going to win a quadruple. Obviously, it'd be nice to win all 3. Fantastic. Thank you. Best season ever, especially if Spurs get relegated. But all I want is the league. If we get the league, it's a good season. Anyone else who's outside Arsenal, for whatever reason, says it's a bad season, they're absolutely wrong, because all I want is a Premier League. And I think a lot of my mates who season ticket holders, a lot of people I know are like that as well. I don't know about you boys, but I want the league. Obviously, like I say, 3 would be great. It'd be amazing. They might say anything otherwise, but I want the league. If we don't get the league, unless we win the Champions League, but even then, it's like,
would you be prepared to wait? Would you be prepared to wait till the 1st of June to win anything? That would be quite a tough ask.
1st of June, that would mean it's gone to... No, there was a final 30th of May, I was going to say.
30th of May. But could you imagine it's gone that far? But looking at the rest of the season, so how are you feeling about the rest of the season, and what do you think we're really realistically winning? So look, you want us to win the Premier League. And I think the majority of fans do. I think the Champions League, would be great for us standing across Europe, and it's something that we've never achieved, and it would be really nice to tick that one off. But the league's your bread and butter, and I think if we win the league, it'd be a platform for more things. But how do you see the rest of the season panning out? What do you think we're realistically winning?
Yeah. Well, you talk about the league to start with, so. Obviously, after the Forest game in January, everyone's having a meltdown. I try not to have a conversation on Saturday night on Twitter, because it's just, like you say, some idiots out there. And like you say, no one ever goes, "Oh, do you know what? That's a really good point. I'm wrong, you're right." So I never bother that. But obviously, I'm sure you boys are in loads of WhatsApp groups as well. Loads of really old school mates as well. And they were all having an absolute... And I was like, okay, well, you didn't beat Forest, but... Look at Sean Dyche has got such a low block. It's all he wanted to do. And it's so difficult to break down teams. That's why he do so well in Europe, because they want to play football against us. So, and also, my point was, look at the last 4 or 5 home games of the season. So we've got Bournemouth on the 11th, Saturday the 11th. Then we've got Newcastle, obviously FA Cup week, semi-final weekend potentially. But I've heard they're going to bring it forward to the Tuesday or Wednesday if we get to the semi-final. So Newcastle, who are failing badly, completely out of form. Fulham, okay, and this isn't, no one's got a divine right to do anything. But if you just said at the start, to put a gun to my head and say at the start of the season, you name some teams you need to get 9 or 12 points out of those 3, and then Burnley on the 16th, 17th, whatever. If we get to the FA Cup final, that obviously potentially be brought forward as well. Certainly if we get to the Champions League final. So those 4 games, if you said to me, choose 4 teams, you would be hard pushed to choose any different teams than those. So there's no reason why we can't get 12 points out of those 4 games. And then obviously, I'm trying to think. So we've got
last game. West Ham away, Palace away,
season, and Palace away, West Ham away,
and Man City away.
Yeah, that's the one I was going to come to last, basically. But so Palace and West Ham away. West Ham can either be relegated, or or Spurs could be relegated by then, or we could even send West Ham down, or if West Ham have stayed up, we could, or if we've won the league by then, even.
Well, that's the ideal scenario.
We could play a reserve side. Yeah, exactly. Even though reserve side's quite strong.
That is the ideal scenario. Yeah, we go to West Ham with the league in our pocket and say, "Here, West Ham, here's a lovely 3 points for you."
Yeah, 100%. So it's like, again, 2 away games. I know, again, it's London derbies, all the rest of it. It's going to be mad and everything. But Palace could have the Conference League still. I know Glasgow's basically burned his CV, but at the same time, they could still be in the conference final. So that's another thing. They'll be looking, either won it potentially or looking forward to it. I don't know the dates of it, but obviously the Champions League's on the 30th, so it's probably going to be before that. So they're going to be preoccupied with that, or they're going to be on a hangover, or still drunk from celebrating. So that could be a potential opposites of banana skin, for whatever that phrase is. Obviously, West Ham's on. So out of those 6 games, if you look at it on paper, and I know papers doesn't mean anything, but if you can't get 4 or 5 wins out of those 6 games when you're going for the title after being runners-up 3 times with the best squad in Europe, potentially the world, then you don't deserve to win the title, basically. So that brings us to City. So obviously City, that 9 points clear. Obviously they got the game in hand against Palace. They win that at 6, and then obviously it's a 6-pointer against us, basically. Pep parked the bus in September. He's never done that in his life. So he knows what we can do. And that 5-1 last year, I know they League Cup and all the rest of it, but that was a one-off. We will be so prepared for that game on Sunday the 19th of April. Unbelievably prepared. And it's whatever Arteta wants. So if he wants to sit back and have a block for 90 minutes like everyone else does to us, then he'll do it, and it's not going to be the 4-1 men against boys 3 years ago that broke my heart after about 6 seconds when I realised that it was just embarrassing. We were nowhere near it, and that shaped Arteta's thinking after that. It was almost like the George Graham when Arsenal lost to Benfica in '91, and it was just like he changed the whole shape of the club, the squad after that, and it almost changed the history of the club from going from playing free-flowing football to having a real defensive setup right up top and a really strong midfield, or a midfield that was really obdurate in terms of being broken down. So this could potentially be it as well. So it's, we're going to go there and we're going to be so prepared. If they beat us, we've still got that cushion as well. And if they don't beat us, then the clock's ticking to when we win the league, basically. So I am feeling really, really positive, as much as I can be after Wembley.
I have a humble hot take. My humble hot take is that we will only need, and I hope this doesn't come back to bite me, I think if we win those 4 games, those 4 home games, Man City, the max Man City can get is 85 points. If we win our 4 home games, Fulham, Burnley, Bournemouth and Newcastle, that's 82 points. I think those 4 games alone will be enough for us to win the league, because Man City will drop points somewhere. They're playing Chelsea away, they're playing Everton away, even if they beat us. And they have some tricky home games as well against teams who have something to play for. It's just in the back of my mind that it would be great to, and we'll have the cushion of West Ham away and Palace away and all that kind of stuff. But I genuinely believe if we win those 4 home games, that'll be enough. 82. I can see City. City aren't, now again, famous last words. City, I don't think they're not the City of old. They're not going to win a last game this season.
But I was just going to say, are you worried about City? Because now that they're out of the Champions League, they're only going to be playing 1 time a week, basically. Okay, fair enough. If they get to the FA Cup semi-final and final, that maybe adds a bit of something else. So they'll be a bit fresher, and that could potentially make a difference. Now, they aren't the City of old, but they're still a very good team, as the Carabao Cup showed. They're still very capable. They've sort of been there, done that as a club. Maybe this not the set of players, but Pep has, and so that club mentality. So for them, if they don't win the league this year, to be honest, as a club, so what? So they can do this sort of relatively relaxed, whereas all the stress and all the pressure is really on us to deliver. But are you worried about City? Because like I said, they at the end of the season they tend to go on runs. They'll win and win and draw. So even though it's all in our hands.
Yeah, absolutely. Fair point and fair question as well. But no, they're not at the level they were, certainly when they won the treble, and they're not even that consistent this season. They're a really good side. But then, so you would be if you're owned by a sovereign wealth club who's basically invested £1 billion and broke every rule, allegedly, in the book, basically. So, it's they're there for the taking. They really are this season. And we've said that for the last 3 years, but they really are. They've got good players, but they're not a great team at the moment. And they are actually in transition. Potentially talk about Pep potentially walking out in the summer as well, leaving, having enough, all the rest of it. What were you going to say about, you made a good point about, obviously, they've got fewer games now. I think that might have been an issue 2 or 3 months ago, but this is the biggest end of the season. Like I said, we've got 7-8 weeks to go. I don't think that'll make, the adrenaline will just get us over the line. It's not a question of being tired now. They're focused, fully focused on the league. Arsenal are. So, it's going to be tough. Of course it's tough. It's always tough at the Etihad, but equally, I feel so confident we'll get at least a point up there. I really do, because this is not a great Man City side by any means. And, Haaland's not even playing well. And they're not even using him as a fulcrum really anymore. And I would love to see Ben White up against Turkey for what he did after in the final. I would love it if he just took him out, seriously. Because at all managers you go, okay, it's great, fantastic football, but we've all played football. If someone done that in a five-a-side, I'd look to break their leg. Seriously, it's like, do you know what I mean? I wouldn't, but I'd be really annoyed. But I probably wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? It's like it was somebody. Everyone goes, "Oh, it's square football," but he was being disrespectful to a fellow team. And when he did the selfie, when he come down after the trophy, Arsenal are going to remember stuff like that as well. And that's team talk as well. So,
they've written the season.
I feel confident.
I remember when that happened, Turkey. I said out loud, Ben White yellow card in a minute, and then straight in. You don't take it. So with that, what about things like the FA Cup? Do we look to deprioritise the FA Cup? I know we love it and the history, and it's our trophy. Like Carabao Cup is City's trophy. The FA Cup is our trophy, because we need to manage the load. Like Champions League, you can't really deprioritise. Well, maybe with Sporting Lisbon, you can maybe flex a bit on players, but if we get to the business end in the final and semis and final, where we'll be coming up against proper opposition, in inverted commas, do we have to look at the FA Cup to be, if we have to let one go, fine, the FA Cup, so we can just manage our players, or
I'm a firm believer in playing your best team at every game. The most important game, as everyone says, the next game. You play your strongest side. And one of the things I love about Arteta, there's a lot of things I love about Arteta, is that he plays his strongest team in most games. And I love that. That's how we got to the League Cup final. It's Wenger and stuff. The amount of 2007 at Cardiff, that we played with one arm tied behind our back against the great Chelsea sides. Birmingham in 2011, that was awful. It was so many times when trophies don't come around that often, even domestic trophies. So I know we've won 14 with the top and all the rest of it, but every trophy means so much to fans, and it should mean so much to the club as well. And obviously, if it's your first trophy for 6 years, you've got to get over the line. And we didn't do it the other week. That's you can only earn your hands up and say, well done, City, for that. We need to prioritise the FA Cup. We need to prioritise every game that is on our horizon, basically. And the next game is obviously Southampton, so we need to prioritise that. And that's the FA Cup, then great. Then everything else just looks after itself. So we get to the semi-final. Like I say, that Newcastle game will be on a Tuesday, Wednesday, after hopefully beating Edging Passport in Lisbon, whatever, we should have enough to get through. I was at a 5-1 last year. I've done Lisbon about 4 or 5 times now, and they're a good team, good club, but we should have enough to beat them. If we want to win the Champions League, we've got to beat teams like that anyway. And then it's Barcelona, isn't it? And they're not a great vintage. They're a massive club, and they're a great club with, if you think like that, but they're not a great team at the moment. So every game now until the end of that's what I call the business end, isn't it? Because it's important. So no, to answer your question, I would play our strongest side, blow Southampton out of the water, and then kick on for that. And also with Southampton, fair play to them, after sacking Will Still, the lad who was at Lons before, they've done so well. And it's like they're going, I think they were supposed to play Ipswich tomorrow and then Wrexham on Monday. Both those games have been cancelled because of the FA Cup, basically. So it's one of those sort of questions you'd put to a Southampton fan, like, what would you rather do, get promoted or win the FA Cup? And it's a really difficult one, because obviously the money is in the Premier League. It's just like, the top 4 was a trophy sort of thing. I'm always about the glory. You want the glory, but you've got to be pragmatic as well. And the money is in the Premier League. So I think a lot of Southampton fans will be like, well, just get this Arsenal game out of the way. It's great, the spotlight's on us, but all we care about is the Championship. So they might even weaken. It'd be so ironic, and it'd be a sad indictment on the FA Cup and the way English football is, but they might even rest a couple of players.
But no,
and if they do that, we should blow them away.
Yeah, I mean, it's 50 years since they last won the FA Cup.
76.
So there's some in the fan base. It'd be nice to try and go as far as possible with that. But look, we've only got you for a couple more minutes, so give us your like preview of Southampton. What do you think's going to happen? What are you looking forward to? You're going to be covering the game and stuff like that. So give us your preview of Southampton and your prediction. And we've got 2 minutes 40 before.
I do like Southampton as a club. I was just going. I do. You boys went down to Dale. I used to like going down to Dale. It was always a good atmosphere down there. I remember coming back from Torino in the Cup Cup and went straight to Southampton after Torino 4 days in Italy on a Beano in northern Italy, and then going straight to Southampton. We won 4-0. Ian Wright got a hat-trick. It was brilliant. It was always good fun. So I've always enjoyed going to Southampton. Good people in the club. Never any hassle really. They've obviously built a new stadium down at the dock. box. We've been going there for years now, and it's I love going down there, and it'll be a good game. And I 8 o'clock. I mean, I've got loads of mates going. Well, obviously 4,000 odd tickets anyway, and so there'll be loads of mates down there, and obviously Gooners I know as well, just like you boys as well. So there'll be a really good atmosphere. People boozing all day as well. I'm actually going to. I'm the first game of the county season tomorrow. I'm going to do Middlesex. They're my team, but I'm actually going to take in Hampshire at the Rose Bowl for a couple of hours before they got Essex day 2. Just do that as a punter. I'm just going to sit there and take it in, and then head down to Southampton about 4, 5, 6 o'clock, and then I've got a really good little place to park as well, because it's really difficult to get press parking. There's a garage about half a mile away that no one ever knows about, and you sort of you park in there. I've never had a ticket ever, so I'll be going there again, but don't tell anyone, obviously. But yeah, no, I think we'll have more than that. We still haven't. Arteta's getting knocked out, and was it 2021?
21, we lost 1-0.
Yeah, that was awful.
They are a bit of a bogey side for us, and
I mean, they're knocking us out of the League Cup. I took my kids that game. Ryan Bertrand scored years ago in the League Cup. But I think 3-1. We're going to do it. This is our time. Whether we do a treble or not, I don't know. Whether we do a double, I don't know. But I think we've got enough to beat Southampton on Saturday, and then we'll worry about the next game after that.
Well, look, fantastic.
And I should say I'm actually flying to Lisbon flying to Porto on Monday morning as well. So I've got a 3-line with the family stuff on a Sunday, then straight to Porto on a Monday morning, 4 days in Porto. So it's a tough life, isn't it?
Yeah. Maybe I'll see it at Southampton or Lisbon. Who knows? But look,
nice fun, top man.
Well, look, it's just the recording on Zoom's just about to finish. So look, Layth, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it. You are the busiest man ever. I know it's a privilege, so thank you, and all the best, and hopefully we get to see you on your travels and outside selling the Gooner and et cetera. So and great work with that, and also with the women's one as well. Fantastic. So thank you very much, Layth.
Cheers, boys. Take care. All the best.
Okay, and that was Layth, and thank you again, Layth, for joining us. Yeah, the busiest man in the kingdom of Arsenal. Following Arsenal in terms of all the work that he does, and a great guy. Love what he had to say, and I hope you enjoyed that.
Yeah, Layth is one of my favourite people in Arsenal land, and I never got a chance to say it, but like one of my favourite things to do when I go over to the games is I go over to Layth. He just be outside the Little Wonder Cafe on the little beside the little bollard there, and he's selling the Gooner, and I give him a hug, and we have a quick chat, and I love the guy. He's a great guy, and I'm so happy that we got him on.
So thank you very much. A top character. And I was wondering where he does do the selling, because I know they have various sellers around the place.
Yeah, I think he goes to a few different places at different times. Yeah, so but normally in the lead up to kickoff, that's where you'll find him beside.
Excellent. So there we go. Anyway, so look, we're just going to sort of tidy up a few things and have a chat. And look, we didn't have a chance to say, look, yeah, he did last night go and see the Arsenal ladies, and even though they lost 1-0 to a goal in the 95th minute, but I don't know if you managed to see the game. It was a pretty amazing game. Ended in some controversy with Katie McCabe pulling I can't remember which player's hair it was, but pulling the hair of one of the Chelsea players, and then the manager of Chelsea, Pastor, getting sent off. And then did you see? She came to the post-match interview with her phone and showing what happened, and I mean,
I didn't see. I was at a gig last night with my son. We went to see the Gorillas in the Tree Arena here in Dublin. An ill-timed gig, but I saw the highlights, and I saw the hair pull, and I saw something I never thought I'd ever see from a professional ever, and that's coming out for a post-match interview with their phone to show replays. Like, come on, that's ridiculous. So
I mean, she had a point, as in, look, McCabe, I think, was lucky not to get sent off. That was something, but that's not how you do it. And now you got all the memes, like everyone putting in their little pictures, like there's the fuck Chelsea guy, and then there's Arsenal lifting the European Cup, and all the rest of it. So
it was so obvious that it should have been a red card, that she didn't have to do that. Like, she should have just let the media do that themselves. But all she's done now is taken the heat off the actual decision, and as you said, she's become the meme. Like, it's ridiculous. But anyway,
but
that's her problem.
a great, again. So got through to the semi-finals either against Wolfsburg or Lyon. And again, the game could have gone. Arsenal could have scored a couple. Chelsea could have scored a couple. Van Domselaar was making some amazing saves. Balls were hitting the post. So actually, it was a great sort of a great advert. And I don't want to be patronising, but it was a great great advert for the game and the quality and this is actually a proper rivalry. Unlike Saturday where it was Arsenal Tottenham, that rivalry doesn't quite exist as it does in the men's game, but this is like both clubs really do hate each other and stuff like that. So it was a great travelling army and so good for them and who knows, could 2 years running, that would be some feat. So
back to back.
Go back to back. So look, as we said, look, the international break is over. I mean, there's been some positives and negatives. So let's focus on the positives, like Gyökeres scoring a hat trick and then that winner for Sweden to get them to qualify for the World Cup. And so look, he'll be on cloud nine, and hopefully he can bring that energy back to Arsenal. On the flip side, and I'm going to very quickly run through this, Ricardo Calafiori played 120 minutes only to get dumped out on penalties by Bosnia and Herzegovina. So Italy won't be going. I guess the plus side is that Ricky gets a bit of a rest, but not great for Italy. That's like the third tournament in a row, and they haven't qualified. Third World Cup in a row.
World Cup in a row, which is crazy to think. You guys have won it 4 times. Am I right in saying 4 times? Yeah,
four times.
But haven't qualified for the last 3. You're getting into Ireland territory here.
Well, look, since we won it in 2006, we've only won 1 game at the World Cup, and that was against England.
Really?
Back in at the Brazil. Where was that? I can't remember. 2014. And we won the Euros. But other than that, we've been dog shit. So it's like, wow, what a time. But there we go. Anyway, enough about Italy, and I'll happily sacrifice any Italian success for Arsenal's success. Mosquera made his full debut for Spain, so it's a good on him. Martinelli scored last night for Brazil against Croatia. Kai also got some minutes, scored for Germany. MLS got some good minutes for the under-21s. And then did you see Max Daumann's incredible goal against Portugal?
I know it was an underage game, but still that was just an incredible goal.
Yeah, but he's underage, so so fantastic. So I guess on the downside we had the Madueke injury, but I think we all were panicking because we saw him in that knee support, but it feels like it's not as bad as we thought. Yeah. He could be back for Bournemouth. We had all the stuff about players coming out, so that Zubimendi, a bit of a knee issue they were saying and stuff like that. But yeah, how do you feel about the international break, and do you think it'll have any influence on the rest of the season, or at least the next 2-3 games?
No, I think I know there's like a lot of Arsenal players pulled out, but I think they're for the most part they were all kind of just precautionary, and obviously the worst one was Madueke, or the worst 2 was Madueke and Hincapié.
Yes, Hincapié.
If Madueke comes back for the Bournemouth game, I will hug the world. I'd be very, very, very happy and surprised, because it looked really bad when I saw that brace on his leg and him walking through the mixed zone. I just thought that's his season over. So hopefully the rumours going around that it's not as bad as we thought are true. But other than that, from an Arsenal perspective, I think you will see the vast majority of all those players who were pulled out with niggles will play. And the only 2 who won't be available, I reckon, this weekend. I know we're going to rest loads of players, but who will actually be injured will be Hincapié and Madueke. Yeah, it was a bit heartbreaking from an Irish perspective. We threw away a 2-goal lead against Czechia. And gave away a ridiculous penalty while 2-0 up, and then lost on penalties. Now we would have had to play Denmark, but from that perspective it was a bit heartbreaking. But the news in general from an Arsenal perspective is positive, I think.
We'll get to it later. There's a bit of a Southampton connection related to Ireland's loss or getting knocked out, and so we'll get to that in a minute. So look, as you said, we talked about the rest of the season and what it's going to take. 4 wins should be enough. I didn't get your view on this. Do you think? I mean, Layth was very win every competition, play full strength team, etc., etc. I would maybe have to be a bit more cautious around that. I think we need to play the best team we think that will win the games, but at some point we will have to be playing our best teams for every game. You know, I think Southampton's a chance to rotate in inverted commas. Sporting Lisbon, again, home or away, you may be able to change one or two. And it's when we say rotate, we don't know what our best 11 is, to be honest. I mean, we've got our primary 6 or 7 players, but then the form of some players, the fitness of others, we really don't know. So, yeah, how do you feel in terms of coming out of the international break, how we should manage the players over the next sort of couple of weeks, in terms of we'll get to the Southampton lineup a bit, but you can touch on a bit. In terms of Sporting Lisbon, in terms of Bournemouth, and then in terms of City,
Well, I think this weekend Southampton game I think is an opportunity purely because who they're playing, and this is showing them all the respect because, as we said, they're playing really well in the Championship, could get promoted, but it is an opportunity to kind of not have to play your best team, but I still think Arteta will go strong, and for the rest of them, Sporting, unless we're like 2 or 3 goals up from the away leg, he will rest probably some players in the home leg, or at least take them off early. But I think he's going to go for it. Like it'll be this will be an opportunity for Mikel Arteta to advertise to the club. I know the club has spent a lot of money, and they've backed them, but it'll be an opportunity for Mikel Arteta to say, "Hey, look, we can win it all." Like, it's really hard, as Layth had said, like it's basically impossible to win the quadruple. But I think Arteta going strong, and he will go strong in everything bar probably the Southampton game, or go his strongest. I mean, I think he'll, in the back of his mind, he'll be saying, right, like, all we need is a little bit of extra quality in certain areas, and we can go all the way. I'm not saying that we're going to win the quadruple next season, but I just think that's one of the angles Arteta will be looking at, and it's just within his being to go not gung ho, but like to go for these games with all kind of pistons firing, and I genuinely believe he'll be like that, because again, the earlier we can win, say, the league, if it does happen, like if he's playing strong teams, and he will obviously in the league, but I think it'll give him an opportunity down the road to be able to really go for other competitions. So I'm not against him going. I completely see your angle, because we're just so fearful of not doing it at this stage. Like we're talking about our winning the Premier League or the Champions League, but I think another interesting angle is it's what would happen if we didn't win one or the other. Like if we don't win the Champions League, it's not the biggest deal in the world, because we've never won it before. It's another season we don't win it, even though we're in a good position. We can go again next season. But if we don't win the Premier League from here, that could be catastrophic. And from that perspective, I agree with you. Do everything you can to just win the bloody Premier League. But I just don't think Arteta is built that way. No. And hopefully we can go and win more than one.
And what player do you think is going to take us to the promised land? Who do you think's going to be stepping up, or who do we need to step up?
Within the squad, the current squad.
Yeah.
Well, I think Saka needs to step up. I'd love to see Havertz get back to form. I know he's not fully fit. Such a shame that he got injured when he did, because he was starting to really fire. Like we are an elite side. I basically have no concerns in defence, because even if, whether it's Calafiori or Hincapié, whether it's Ben White or Timber, and within reason, like if Mosquera has to come in for Gabriel or Saliba, like our defence is elite. Our midfield is borderline elite. It's very functional. We're very hard to beat, but we're not elite up front, and we all know this, and it's something that will be looked at in the summer. So when you ask the question, who needs to step up, I've no concerns 3/4 of the way up the pitch. I think it's the forward lines, because we dominate games, but we don't always get the goals and we don't always score. Whereas we're very tight in terms of conceding. I know. Well, to be fair, we've conceded a bit recently.
No. But our season's been basically our defence has kept us where we are.
Yeah, 100%. And if we can get if we can get players this season to start really firing, and we're talking about Saka, we're talking about even Martinelli, Trossard has gone off the boil. If we can get an extra 5-10% out of all of them, that'll go a long way. But can you imagine this Arsenal side if we had elite attackers? Like the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think what will be interesting to see how, if Odegaard coming back, how that will influence things, and okay, it's sort of the double-edged sword. He's not going to be fatigued like everyone else, but it's going to take him a few games to get up to match fitness. Can he? It seems like he has been a player that when he's come back, he's been good from the go. I remember last year against Chelsea, he was good from the go. This season, he came back against Atletico Madrid. He was good from the go. So to have him in and maybe not have the pressure of, or if I don't perform, Ezra's going to take my place and stuff. So he has maybe a bit of freedom, and he'll have the desire to do well, but all players have desire. So I sort of hate using that, but he'll make extra incentives. Yeah, I don't think anyone is like going, "Oh, I'm going to run extra hard because I've got desire." No, they're just professionals, and they work hard and all the rest of it. But I don't know, it just may have something in him just to drive him forward. Say, look, I need to contribute to this team. I'm the club captain. I'm the team captain. I need to contribute something to this season and stuff like that. So I think he'll have a say in what happens, and I think it just seems it's like our 1 in 1 out policy. So hopefully actually what will happen is, like, over the next couple of games we'll have that full squad. Hincapie's injury, hopefully it's just minor, couple of, maybe just a week off. Madueke if it's a couple of weeks. But yeah, it is up to everyone to step up. And do you trust Arsenal to get the job done?
I do trust Arsenal to get the job done. I think when it comes to the league games, just Arteta has a way of making us very functional, very tight. And we've, like, when I say, I imagine if we had elite attackers, I'm not saying that we have a poor attack. We have enough up there.
But they're not firing. It's just not. Yeah, it's not.
No,
firing.
They're not firing. But they like, if we're keeping it tight at the back, I trust them enough to get a goal. And God, if we win 4 games in a row 1-0 in that regard, oh my God, I'll sign up for that every day of the week. I do trust them, but more so in terms of the league, and I kind of alluded to this earlier on when we were speaking with Layth. I was going to say I don't trust City. That's not the way to put it. I trust City to drop points is what I mean as well. I don't think we're going to have to be perfect and unbeaten. As I said, the max they can get is 85. Our 4 home games, if we win them, gets us to 82. And I genuinely believe that maybe one more does win us the league with goal difference. Unless City
if we don't lose to City, 4 wins, don't lose to City.
Yes, there you go. So from that perspective, I've great trust. And Arteta, we know what he's like when there's a huge game in a league. He'll just keep it so tight, and he won't. I just have trust that we won't lose them first and foremost, and that we'll have enough to go and get the wins that we need. I really do. It has to happen now. Arteta knows it has to happen, and the players will want it and will know it has to happen now as well. And for those reasons, I trust that it will.
I mean, a lot of the time, people have been. We focus on the players during the international break. The Carabao Cup a couple of weeks ago now, or nearly a couple of weeks ago now, and you just know, okay, look, everyone will have a break. It's like it's happened. Even the coaches, even Arteta needs a couple of days off, but they're going to be back in, crawling through that, watching that endlessly, and ironing out the creases. Where did we go wrong? What can we do do differently, and maybe it's one of these blessing in disguise type scenarios, because now it's not going to be a surprise if City do that to us, or we'll be able to counteract it, or we'll have something there. So maybe it's the sacrifice that we make for the rest of it, and I'd happily sacrifice the Carabao Cup if we even if we just won the league, but win other stuff as well. So they'll be poring over that, and he won't leave any stone unturned, and that's one thing we're really good at, is learning. Like every time, and we've only lost 4 games this season, so we're worrying about 7 games, and in the league, like, we've only lost 3 games in the league and one cup game. So with 7 games, are we really suddenly going to turn into a team that loses more games in 7 games? So look, you never know what happens. Any pressure can lead to anything. It's the end of the season, stupid stuff happens. It's happened in times when we've won the league but past, where we have done moments, so you just never know. But I trust Arsenal to do everything they can to get it done. I think not me, but a lot of people, the Carabao Cup final, the manner of defeat, just took the edge off things a bit. So even though the computers say 95% done and blah 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 blah, I think it just took that thing, and there's just that element of doubt, because 10% stuff happens, because it's not 5%. Yeah, so
I've played enough poker to know that that a one outer can hit once in a while. And but my take on the Carabao Cup final, with distance now away from it, because I was gutted at the time, and look, City fully deserved it. However, when I think about it, it wasn't City against Arsenal the way it's going to be City against Arsenal at the Etihad. First and foremost, by choosing Kepa to play, and I actually agreed with the decision. I still agree with it, because I just think it's a bit classier that Arteta stuck by his guns. It's very Arsenal that he did that, and I like it. So straight away, like the very basic fundamental way we play football, a lot of it goes through David Raya. And he wasn't on the pitch that day. And also another fundamental of how we attack, in terms of whether it's Odegaard, Eze, or even like Marino, for example, they weren't on the pitch that day. Yes, Man City did a job on us, but I don't think, given the set of circumstances, it was difficult to do a job on us. All they had to do was just stop Kepa from being able to make any proper passes. He's not very good on the ball anyway. And just crowd the 10 area, the Arsenal 10 area, and we never got a look in. And when you look back, it's not surprising, considering who we had missing. Now, that for a second, I'm not saying that means the players are going to come back and we're going to go to the Etihad and we're going to beat them 5-0. That's not what I'm saying. But
really?
Maybe it will. But it'll be a much more even matchup that day. It'll be a much more I was going to say actual game. I know that sounds silly, but you know what I mean. It's I look back at what happened at Wembley. Yes, we got our asses handed to us, but there were mitigating circumstances around it, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. Anyway, so that's done. International break is done. And then we'll move on to Southampton. But before we get on to Southampton, just a little reminder. Firstly, thank you to all those that do subscribe, follow, have left ratings, comments, etc. We really appreciate it. We notice it. But if you haven't done so, and it'll be very nice if you could, as I said, leave a little rating, subscribe to the podcast on the apps, on YouTube, like Apple and Spotify. And you can find us at the Grove AFC. So we do appreciate it. We do notice it, and it does really help spread the word. And that's how the algorithm works. So the more you do it, the more people get to listen to the likes of Ian and myself. And what's not to love about that? Okay, so Southampton, 8:00 Saturday, under the lights, as we said, in the FA Cup. Got a bit of history with them, bit to and fro, bit of a bogey side, but. What are you looking forward to, not looking forward to, as far as the FA Cup quarter-final against Southampton is concerned?
Well, I'm not looking forward to the potential of me not not getting to see it, because as we spoke before we came online, we had a mad little coincidence. I'm going on holidays tomorrow with my family. We're going back to where myself and my wife had our honeymoon, and the name of the place that I won't pronounce, because I was told indefinitely that I was pronouncing it wrong by our Italian host here.
Stresa.
I was calling it Stresa, but that's only because I went on honeymoon there.
No, that's how you feel about Arsenal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So what's it called? Stresa.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. So as we found out that that's where Tabs' father's from. So it's a really, really small world, and it was a mad little coincidence. So that's a long-winded way of me saying there's a chance, because it's the first day of the holiday, if I disappear off to a bar somewhere to go and watch an Arsenal game, I might be thrown into Lake Majora. So that's what I'm not looking forward to. What am I looking forward to? Being thrown into Lake Majora because I went and watched the match, maybe. Well, I'll see. Hopefully an injury-free Arsenal win. I don't care if it's 1-0 or 10-0. Give us a win, get us into the semi-final, Wembley again, and no more injuries.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to the fact that I'll be there, so I'll be fortunate enough to be there. So that's always a bit of fun with the travelling army. As you said, we're one win away from Wembley, and I just think the more that this team gets experience of playing at Wembley, good and bad, because there's you either win or you learn. And we will likely play top opposition, but maybe not, given the luck of the draw at the moment that we've been getting. Maybe have the easy side of the draw, but we'll see. So, and for me, obviously I'll want to win, and I'll be there, and it'll be tense and exciting. But I still think this is sort of relatively low stress. Going out of the FA Cup would not be the end of the world. For me, free us up for two big competitions. Now, as I said, I would love to win the FA Cup. But if it meant winning the other two, then I would sacrifice it. But that's not a choice we can make. So I think we just go there and we do the best we can. And look, if we get through, great, get a chance to go to Wembley again. And not looking forward to, as alluded to, I think it would be a bit of a bogey team at times. I think it'll be a tricky tie. The crowd will be well up for it, and I think they smell an upset. Given that we likely change side, maybe have some injuries, bigger fish to fry. So I think it'll be a tricky evening for us. So we'll see. So in terms of how we approach it and the lineup, it is going to be interesting given the week we have with Lisbon away and then Bournemouth at home. And I think Bournemouth at home is the biggest of the three games. All the players from international duty, some are genuinely injured. We don't know about Timber yet. That's been a while. We don't know about Nkapia yet. And they, people alluded to that. These players have got knocks and niggles, and look, any player at this stage of the season will have something wrong with them. So it's just how much do we risk and rotate. But the other side of the coin is that if you haven't played for 2-3 weeks, you don't want to be going to Sporting Lisbon cold either. You don't want Sporting Lisbon to be your first game back, or you don't want a whole group of players to have Sporting Lisbon as their first game back. And it's fine, one player comes in, two, you incorporate into the side and whatever, but you don't want to go with Rice, Saka, and maybe Havertz. Gyökeres played midweek, but you've got a number of players, Gabriel, Saliba, a number of players that didn't play during the international break. Going to Sporting Lisbon cold might not be ideal. So with that in mind, what do you think what do you think the lineup will be?
I think it'll be relatively strong. I really do. Arteta won't want to go out of 2 cups in 2 games. And of course, we have lots of games coming up and more important games, arguably. Well, it's not arguably, they are more important. So I think it'll be a mixture. I think I was going to say David Roy will be in goal. To be honest with you, I actually don't think so. I think he'll play Kepa. You might see the likes of, I think it'll be White, Mosquera. Well, it'll have to be. No, actually, I reckon he'll go MLS left back. Probably Gabriel or Saliba as the left-sided centre back. I think Max will play. I really do. I think he's protected him well over the last few games. I think he will play. I think you will see Martinelli. I think you'll see Norgard as well. You will see, well, Madueke, and I don't think he'll play Saka. Oh yeah, because we'll have Max out there, I think. So who am I missing? Where am I missing?
Well, okay, so you got your Kepa in goal. I went with Kepa in goal, and then because there's White or Salmon, I think he'll go White, Mosquera, Big G, MLS. You got Norgard. Hopefully Odegaard will be back.
Yeah.
I'm relying on him. But then I was thinking, who else in midfield? It's either got to be Rice or Zubimendi. What other midfielder? Unless you drop Havertz into there. So maybe you put Havertz in midfield.
Yeah.
And then you have Dauman, Jesus. Now, I think Trossard more than Nelly, because Nelly actually played Wednesday night in the US.
Yeah.
So he won't be back until Thursday. To suddenly go stuff like that. So no, maybe he's fine. He maybe it's not the minutes he played, because I don't think he played many minutes, but it's the travel. So yeah, Trossard or Nelly. So that's it. And then you've also got Salmon, who can maybe start at centre back or right back instead of White. But White didn't play. But I think White will be there. But I think at some point, if we're thinking about Sporting Lisbon, Timber's going to come on at some point. Rice will have to come on at some point. Zubimendi, Saka, I think will come on at various points. Odegaard won't be able to last the whole game. So, but yeah, so I think that's what we. Who would you start Rice, or would you drop Havertz into midfield?
I would prefer to drop Havertz into midfield, to be honest. I'd love to see Rice get an extended rest, because he has been carrying a niggle. So yeah, like they'll share minutes. Like if Havertz did 60 and Rice did 30, I'd be happy enough with that. Yeah, especially in the lead up to the Sporting game, where Rice will start.
Yeah. Anyway, it'll be interesting, but yeah. It looks pretty good. I don't think he'll start Salmon there, but that as an option, depending on what's happened with Timber. But yeah, no, I think that should be. And I'm with you. I would think Kepa in goal. Look, Cup. That's one thing. You take him out for this. Yeah, semi-final, final may be different, but you take him out for this, and that just kills him. And if you need to rely on him, the same principles apply to the Carabao Cup final as it would be to this one. Now, semi-final, final, then you can have a different conversation. But at least for this one, yeah, I think Kepa starts again, and it's long enough time between the two that things may have died down a bit in terms of that discussion. So Southampton, in order to get to this place, they beat Doncaster Rovers away in the third round. They beat Leicester City 2-1 in the fourth round, and they beat Fulham away in the fifth round. So there we go. But I think, as you said, they seem to be they're the form team in the Championship. They're unbeaten since January the 17th, when they lost 2-1 at home to Hull. But since then, they've played 12, won 9, drawn 3, including beating Coventry away. So they seem to be on a bit of a run. I mean, they've had a couple of weeks off now, so we'll see what happens. They do, though, play Wrexham away on Tuesday after our game, and they're tied on points, so 6th and 7th. So Southampton are 6th in the league, so in the final playoff position. So they're fighting for playoff place with Wrexham, but also then the following Saturday play Derby, who are in 8th, only 3 points behind. So they've got two massive games after this. So it'll be interesting to see how they approach it, because I think we touched on it's the 50th anniversary of when they last won the FA Cup. There's a bit of narrative there, bit of sort of like anniversary sort of thing. So I think they'd like to do well, but would you sacrifice, as Lay's saying, the money's in the Premier League, the sacrifice, not survival, but that, and you've seen what happened to Sunderland and Leeds now, who've gone up, and if you could sort of become a stable club, and you see what's happened to Brentford in the past, if you could suddenly become a stable club in the Premier League, it's very valuable. And one of my son's best friends is a Southampton fan, and he goes regularly, so I tapped him up for some information, and he does think they'll rotate a little bit, but I think they'll prioritise the league, but should still go strong. They do sense there's the chance for an upset, and the big things to look out for is the fact that they're quite defensively sound. And now I didn't have the final. I forgot the statistic he said, but he said like up until 10, 15 games ago, basically since the manager took over in November, they had 6 clean sheets in 85 games, and since in the last the last 10 games, they've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 clean sheets. So all of a sudden they've worked out how to defend, but they have some good players. Finn Azaz, is it Finn Azaz? He's the Irish. He's Finnish. Yeah. So tell me, he had a bit of an interesting international.
He can be. He's very inconsistent.
Absolutely, that's what he said.
He was shown promises, but then it's just hard for me to even speak about the Irish internationals. We had a chance and we blew it. But he's like he could be anonymous or he could do something special. You know what I mean? He's one of those. So hopefully it's more.
Plays attacking midfielder, sort of like a creative midfielder type.
Yeah,
type
exactly. Yeah.
But that's exactly what this guy said. This is what Matthew said. Inconsistent. Be one of their best players as an attacking midfielder, and can be rubbish at the same.
But either way, I'll put it this way: he won't be keeping me awake. Now cue Finn Azaz scoring the winner on Saturday, but I don't think he'll be keeping me awake. Worry.
Okay, and I was looking at FotMob for their sort of their players. They got a guy called Leo Scienza, but apparently who's like their top-rated player, third top scorer, and he's got the top assist, but potentially he's out injured. Adam Armstrong is their leading top scorer, who now plays for Wolves. He did mention their goalkeeper, Daniel Peretz, who's actually a goalkeeper on loan from Bayern Munich, who seems to be on decent form. And then there's Flynn Downs, but apparently he's suspended, so he's one of their better players. So we're sort of talking about players that potentially might not play or play for other clubs. But Finn Azaz, he's like their second top scorer. He's on 10 goals this season, and he's got their second on assists. So we see. But the one thing you talked about in terms of how they play, they're very adaptable apparently in terms of their formation, as in they'll suit to whoever they're playing. Like when they play Coventry, they change their formation to nullify their midfield. They will try and dominate possession, but they're not afraid to low block. And he said, I think their weakness is down the wing. So if we've got a bit of pace down the wing, so Max Dowman, or Martinelli, then that's maybe where they could be vulnerable. But as I said, they're the form team, as in there. So it's not going to be easy, especially away from home. And their home form in the league, won 10, drew 6, lost 3. Scored 29 against 14. So pretty decent for the championship. So go on then. What's your prediction for this?
I think it's going to be a professional 2-0 win.
Okay, 2-0.
A hard-fought 2-0 win.
Hard fought. I wouldn't be surprised if we lost, but I'm not going to predict a loss. I'm going to go 2-1. Matthew was saying they should score. They might score. But I think we may still have too much for them. I think they've got a few injuries. I think their options from the bench might not be so great. Whereas our options from the bench will be better than what we have on the pitch. So I'm going to go with a 2-1. So there we go. So we're going through to the semi-finals, and and we might play one of Man City play Liverpool. Man City at home Saturday morning 12:45. Then you've got Chelsea Port Vale at 5 o'clock, and then the following day you've got West Ham versus Leeds. So in a way, I want Man City to win just so they have that extra fixture congestion. Obviously want Port Vale, but I don't see them beating Chelsea. And then West Ham or Leeds, take it or leave it, and then we'll get West Ham or Leeds in the semi-final. So no, you get Man City, Chelsea. You get who do we want? We get West Ham or Leeds in the semi, and then we'll get Man City in the final. We'll get revenge for the Carabao Cup after having won the league already at the Etihad. So there we go. So look, just want to do one final thing before we sign off, and this week marked the 25th or 25 years since the tragic passing of Arsenal legend David Rocky Rocastle. So I just wanted to ask you what your favourite memory of Rocastle playing for Arsenal was.
God, there are so many. You look back at that famous goal he scored at Old Trafford. My first season of watching Arsenal was the Anfield '89 season. I was only a 10-year-old kid, but I thought he was awesome that season, and even in that last game at Anfield, I thought he was really good. But yes, sorely missed, and it's hard to choose one. I'll pick the goal at Old Trafford.
Goal at Old Trafford, yeah, that seems to be a firm favourite. I think that was his favourite goal as well that I've heard. For me, I didn't actually see this, but I listened to it. So it was back in 1987. He was 20. I was 14 at the time, and it was when he scored that late winner against Tottenham away in the League Cup final. You know, we were losing 1-0. It was a replay as well. We were losing 1-0. Alisson scored the equaliser, and then Rocastle came up with the winner in the replay. And I remember listening to it on the radio, and there's the great Peter Jones. He's just such an iconic voice. And even just thinking about it now, and I was looking it up, was just sort of sending shivers down my spine. I just remember where I was in the bedroom listening to it. I remember running around, dancing, running down the stairs, telling my mum, and just sort of like celebrating like mad across around the house. So that was sort of like a really cool memory to have of him. And obviously taken too early, and it's a shame. What a player, what a role model, to Arsenal players and to fans, and he will always be missed, but never forgotten. So there we go. So look, there we go. Thank you, Ian, for joining me today, and then just let people know what you get up to and where people can find you.
Yeah, no problem, Tab. It was great to be on. People will find me on all the socials at @ArsCannonPics, where you take a picture like me tomorrow on Isola Bella, where we found a cannon on our honeymoon. Take a picture of the cannon, send it to me, and we'll post it out.
Good. And look, I hope you enjoyed the first part with Layth. Again, thank you, Layth, for joining us. Very busy, even like at home. He said kids back for uni, so he's got to spend time with the family, because if he's not he's normally at some sporting event somewhere along the line. So thank you again for that. You can follow us at The Grove AFC on Threads, Blue Sky, X, Insta, TikTok. On the podcast apps, YouTube channel at The Grove AFC. So leave us a like, subscribe, rating. Really appreciate it. The next pod won't be with Ian. I'm pretty sure of that. Or it will be he'll be on his lilo in a lake.
yeah. That's more likely.
Following the quarterfinal versus Southampton, previewing the first leg away to Sporting. And there we go. So, as always, strap in, people. It's going to be a bumpy 8 weeks, but hopefully one that will be ultimately full of immense joy and pride. And remember who you are, what you are, and who you represent. Until the next time, come on, you Gunners.